who campaigned this car for a long, long time. I wait for him to turn up. There's a big event going on at Sandpot this weekend. I always like to come along and do a little bit of a chat about drag racing. I've been involved in it for so long in my life. This weekend is the Easter Thunderball up at Sandpot. Sandpot is near Wellingborough in Northants. This man could shut his eyes and drive up there, having done it so many times, as can this other young man who's just walked away behind me, Pat Lizianek there, who was a drag racer for many, many years at Sandpot. And nostalgia is becoming a big, big thing at the moment in the world of drag racing. At Sandpot, this weekend is the 45th anniversary of the start, the opening of Sandpot, and it's the 35th anniversary of Don Garlett's coming over here. Does everybody know who Don Garlett is? Just nod your head. We all know who Don Garlett is. Good. If the people in front of you don't know, just whisper in their ear and tell them who he is. And Don Garlett came over and ran against a certain young man, and he was young in those days, called Pete Crane, and Pete beat him and also ran the first ever 5-second pass along Sandpot's quarter mile outside of America. And so it was a huge, huge event for the world of British drag racing. So they're celebrating that this weekend. They've got a full field of racers up there, from sportsmen, bikes, right up to top fuel dragsters. I think Gordon Smith is there with the top fuel funny car, the Shockwave. So it's going to be a very, very interesting weekend. And because the weather is like this, ladies and gentlemen, it's perfect drag racing weather. We used to pray for this, didn't we? Oh, we did indeed. That is so true. And it's going to be great. I reckon there'll be a few records set up there this weekend. So when you finish here at Wheelsday, if you've got nowhere else to go for the weekend, up to Sandpot you go, and I'm sure it's going to be a very, very good weekend. Just to tell you that nowadays, when you look at the larger version of this car, what did this used to run? Was it Senior Dragster?
Yeah, it was a Senior Dragster, Junior Fuel they used to call it.
Right, okay. The larger dragsters of this variety can now run the quarter mile at Sandpot in something like 4.6, 4.7 seconds. Okay, just think about that. From a standing start to a quarter of a mile away in sort of 4.6, 4.7 seconds. When they get to the top end, they're doing somewhere in the region of 320 miles per hour. Okay, that's top fuel dragster today. The drivers pull about 3 or 4 G away from the start line with the acceleration. One of the top fuel dragsters, I went through this last year, but one of the top fuel dragsters will accelerate to 100 miles per hour inside 60 feet in something like 0.8 of a second. So when somebody comes up to you and says, I drive a Ferrari, and it goes from 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds, you go, hey, how slow do you feel? 0.8 of a second will take a top fuel dragster up to 100 miles per hour. But these days, Russ has retired from the world of drag racing. There's not too much you can tell this man about this type of engine. I just want to tell you, I drive a Daimler, a Russ Carpenter engined Daimler when I'm not driving around in my normal daily car. And there's not too much you can tell this man about these engines. These engines were designed by a guy called Edward Turner. Edward Turner was the man who designed the Speed Twin for Triumph. Any motorcyclists here? Just nod if you understand what I'm talking about, yeah? Okay. If there's people in front of you who don't understand, just whisper in their ear and tell them what I'm talking about. So Edward Turner designed a very unique engine for its time. It's a Hemi, which means that the fuel goes in here and it goes across the cylinder. It's supposed to be the most perfect way of an internal combustion engine can work. And Russ will tell me a bit more.
It's actually half a tennis ball, the combustion chamber.
But it's one of the most perfect ways, isn't it, of getting fuel in, exploded, and exhaust gases out.
Yeah, and it's virtually designed for supercharging. It's the most efficient combustion chamber for supercharging.
Why did you, when you first started, I've got to tell you, you were the first drag racer I ever interviewed, which was at a car show in Birmingham back in the early 80s, I think, and you came along and no, it must have been before that, maybe the late 70s or something like that. And you came along and explained to me all about drag racing, and I stood there with me thumb in my bum and my mind in neutral. I didn't understand any of it. And I think a year or so later there I was commentating on it, which was quite strange. Why did you go with a Daimler V8 engine?
Well, we wanted a British engine, you see, but we also wanted a hemispherical chamber in the car, like the Chryslers that they were using, the 392s, and this was the only one that was available, and we actually chose it for that purpose. What we didn't know is how strong it was.
So, just to give us a bit of a clue, with my car, which you also have one now, what's the normal horsepower of those saloon cars, the Mark II Jags with the Daimler Hemi engine in it?
They make 140 horsepower.
I mean, that's very respectable, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, even in today's terms, that's quite good.
Yeah, indeed. So what, from 140 horsepower, we then go to nitro methane, supercharger. What sort of horsepower did you get from this?
1,400.
10 times the horsepower, 1,400. If we tell them that now, the top fuel dragsters, the ones I've just been talking about, that run the quarter mile in 4.5, 4.6, 4.7 seconds, they produce between 7,000 and 8,000 horsepower per vehicle. It's quite earth-shattering, isn't it, when you think that a Formula 1 car's got 750, 800 horsepower. These things are going out with 10 times the power. It seems to be the magical number. What about transmission then, Russ? Tell us a little bit about what did you do transmission-wise then? Because surely a normal Daimler gearbox won't hold that sort of power.
No, it's right. So you hit the throttle. This gearbox is actually a derivative from America. It's called a Wheelsday, and it's effectively an automatic, which is manually operated with buttons. You've got a clutch in the car. You leave the line by letting the clutch go in the normal manner, and then you just press the button when you want to change gear. It cannot go into neutral. It can only change or not change. So, and of course the time period of you changing is so much less than what you would do if you had to dip the clutch, put on a stick, and get the next gear and let the clutch go again.
Sounds very intriguing to me. A normal Daimler that you and I both know, standing quarter mile, how long would it take? I've got it down about 24 seconds, I think.
Yeah, I actually built an engine for one once, and I think it was about 18.5 seconds.
Okay. Your car, now then, in peak condition, what sort of times and speeds were you turning around?
We did the quarter mile in 70 seconds, 179 miles an hour.
There you are. And if anybody tells you that Daimlers are old-fashioned and for fuddy-duddies, that will tell you that they ain't. Now, you're in retirement now from racing. You've been up there a couple of times. I know I've been up there with you, because I'm classed as a veteran myself now. So, and we go up there together. What do you think of the modern top fuel dragster and funny car?
Well, they're awesome, aren't they? I mean, there's no doubt. You know, they're really, really incredible things. To the point of being frightening, really. You know, I mean, that amount of horsepower and no speed. Their first 60 foot, you were talking at 0.8 of a second. This used to do the 60 foot in 0.9 of a second. So the first 50 foot I could keep with them. The trouble was they just kept going at the same when I had to start up. Just like you racing a mini from a carry bikes against the E-type. So the first 10 foot you're with him, and then he sails away, and this is the same.
Right, okay, well look, I think what we're going to do, would you like to hear it fired up? Good. Now, what I will do, most people tend to ignore me, okay? What I will tell you is that this will hurt your ears. Alright? For those of you who haven't been drag racing before, a nitro methane burner is very, very noisy. And there is nothing wimpish about putting your fingers in your ears, okay? What I think I did say to you, what comes out of here, put nitromethane in here through the supercharger, and what comes out of these exhaust pipes is tear gas. It's nitric acid comes out of there. So even if you're a real man or lady and can stand there and stand the noise, you'll all be crying by the time I finish. It's a bit like when I tell jokes. So, I think we're gonna, do you fit? No. I think it's a bit feeling it. It's like a bed, isn't it? Right, okay, so, and just to tell you, this shows you how they start. All of the modern fuel dragsters, an off-ball starter. It clips over the supercharger belt, which is down there, and with that, they put in, what do you put in? Is it methanol or is it normal petrol?
Just a little bit of petrol.
Just a little bit of petrol in through the bug catcher, spin the engine over. All they normally do is spin the engine over a couple of times to make sure the oil pressure's there. You're going to do that? Just a little. Then spin the engine over, put some neat petrol in. That will then draw the nitromethane into the engine. And then I'm going to put my fingers in my ears, ladies and gentlemen, because I ain't daft. All right? Good. Russ, over to you and the team. Here we go. Man mounts him here. I'll stand behind him. If anything goes wrong, I'll be fine.
Okay, you okay? Yeah. Just got to crank it first.
So just make sure that the batteries are okay. Spin it over. That's it. Give a bit of oil pressure. And then in will go the petrol. That should ignite the engine. And you'll notice the change in the tone of the engine. Okay? Hopefully, here we go. absolutely wonderful. Considering he only started up, was he yesterday when he first started got us down on?
Yeah, it's about over a year. But before that, it was 10 years before that.
Okay. So I'll tell you what, folks, just before you all go rushing off, if you want to come out and work with us, in our world, in my world of drag racing, he's a very famous guy. Mr. British here, Daimler V8 engine in here. Come out and work with him. What I will tell you is that there is a big nostalgia drag racing event at Santa Pod. It's called Dragstalgia. It's in the middle of July. I think it's like the 15th, 17th of July. And there's going to be a lot of previous drag. There's quite a few drag racers here today from when I first started in the sport. But if you want to have a word with us, all I will say to you is don't stand close to these header pipes here because they will be very, very hot. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, give him a big round of applause. Russ Carpenter!
Yeah.